like I mentioned, my name's Alex Smith. I graduated in 2016 with my undergraduate degree in public health, actually. Took a year off and worked a nonprofit and then made my way back to Carroll, just like so many of us like to do. And I currently serve as our assistant director of student activities. And so I get to dabble with all those out of classroom experiences, but specifically I get to work with our students with volunteer programs, community engagement, civic engagement, which is super exciting, especially with like recent elections that have been happening. And I'm just so excited to be able to talk about community after college with you all. When Lauren and Justin reached out to me, I was just really excited because this is actually something that I think all of us struggle in our own way, but something that really meant a lot to me because I remember going through the feelings and the steps as you entered that last semester of college and being like, what? I have to find a job. I'm moving home or moving to a brand new city or location. And I have this group of friends that I absolutely adore. And I'm scared. Like, what if I never see them again? What if we don't talk or stay connected? And so that's why I'm really happy to kind of be talking through this with you all. And don't worry, what we're really going to touch on is not only how you continue to build that community that you found here at Carroll, but then how you find a new community. Because we all know we go through different transitions. We have different seasons of life that don't always overlap, and we have different needs from a community at any point of our lives as well. And so it's really important that we kind of address like where we can find community, who we can fall back on in different times, and that if you're feeling nervous or unsure, that those feelings are totally valid, and we have all been there. I think it's something we don't really talk about because we're busy trying to say this is where I got a new job or this is where I'm moving, but I challenge you all to talk with your friends of like, hey, I'm feeling this way. I just want to put it out there because you are so important to me. Our friends are everything. And it's Carroll did an amazing job, right? Because they set up the perfect opportunity to build community right when we step foot on campus. Everything is set up to make it easy for us. Even if we were feeling scared or nervous, we were given a roommate to build relationships with. We were given classmates to build relationships with, student organizations. Everything was close proximity, and we just really created this hub and community that became our natural everyday. We were seeing each other literally multiple times a day. Every other day we had great events happening that we could attend, and so everything was just there for us. And now we're kind of entering a world that we're finding what we need now, and a lot of times it's in a brand new environment, a brand new city. We're kind of going from having roommates to maybe moving across the country. We had classmates, and now we have brand new coworkers, and maybe they're in person, maybe they're online, which has different challenges and great things about it too. There's new jobs that we're having. Maybe you're getting married and starting a family, and that's a whole new journey as well. And on top of that, although social media is so helpful and such a big part of our life, sometimes it's really not as helpful as we think when it comes to staying connected. Lauren and Justin are like, yes. I know so many times I'm like, my mom, it's so funny. My mom will ask me, oh, how's so-and-so doing? And I can answer that question for her, even though I haven't talked to that person. And so that's what makes it kind of difficult, is like we feel like we know what's going on, but we might not truly have that connection to that individual anymore. And so that's one thing I think we all need to be cognizant of, is we can't just rely on social media to continue those relationships for us. We have to put that effort in as well, with many different relationships too. But to share a little personal story of how finding community after college was for me, or just how I was feeling about it. My semester before graduating, I remember actually sitting down with my campus supervisor, and she's talking about what's next for you, how our job application's going. And she's really trying, and ultimately was right, because I came back for grad school, and she really was trying to push that because she saw that as a career path for me. And I all of a sudden was like, yeah, like job, like I'm applying, this is where I'm planning on staying. And all of a sudden I was like, but what about all my friends? Like, what am I supposed to do? And I just kept saying, like, what if I don't talk to them again? Or what if I don't see them again? Or if we just like go different ways and we don't stay connected, but they were such big parts of my lives for the past 4 years. And I remember she said to me, she was like, but what if you do stay connected? Like, you're so concerned that like possibly that could happen. Like, what can we do now to make you feel more confident in staying connection, or being okay with finding a new community as well? Because you're saying, oh, we're going all different directions. Well, you can't just rely on, oh, every couple of weeks we're going to see each other. You need to have other support systems there as well. And so don't worry, we all go through that. And trust me, although maybe I shared that without tears, I was like a hot mess. I just did not, my emotions are all over the place when it came to graduation, and all the amazing things that were going to come that I was just very unsure about. So let's kind of think back a little bit now that you've heard my own personal experience, to 4 or 5, how many years ago, when we were entering college, because I think it's really important to kind of also compare how we were feeling then. We were going from high school. A lot of us had like friends that we had from K through 12 even, and then now we're entering this new space. Like how are we feeling entering Carroll, knowing that welcome week and move-in was upon us? So I see nervous, excited. I know I was feeling like kind of overwhelmed, but just unsure. Yeah, that's perfect. Unsure of myself, of like, I wasn't supposed to work. I don't know what to do here. And the best part of that was knowing that, and who's now my boss, who does orientation, is like, everything was just like set up for you. You walk through the halls and everyone's in the same exact place as you are. And so it's good to remind ourselves, and that's what we'll go to next, is that how you are feeling now, which I'll ask you all, what words would you use to describe how you feel in this moment regarding community after college? Because we were feeling really unsure about ourselves, entering college, nervous, excited, all these different feelings. We're feeling that same way now. And so people are saying they felt nervous and uneasy, maybe excited too, because there's a lot of really great, amazing things that are happening after college. I think for so long we're like, I'm ready to graduate. I'm ready to graduate. And then it gets here and you're like, what's happening? Anxious and hopeful, all wonderful words to kind of reflect how you're feeling. And a lot of them that overlap with how we felt 4, 5, for me 9 years ago, when we were entering college and then graduating. And that's why it's good to kind of remind you all of like, we have felt this way before, we have had these feelings, and looked what great things came from that, because we were just went into it open-minded, went into it knowing that we were feeling that way, but believing that, you know, we're going to find friendship, we're going to find community in this new place that we're entering. And so the big question here for today through that is, how do we stay connected with our current community while finding new communities in our next chapter? Because again, like we mentioned, different seasons of life, different people you'll be around. You'll also even see this just when you might be entering one job and then leaving for another one. These are all skills that are going to be extremely helpful for you outside of just this period of time as well. There's always going to be new seasons of life that you might need to find a new community too. So really the first part we're going to start with is finding your community. So this is really helpful. Maybe we're returning home after college, moving across the country, or staying in Waukesha. But again, you're kind of in a different spot. Maybe you're not spending time as much with college students, but you're in the career force and doing that stuff. And so we want to help by giving some examples and some starting points for where you could find community. And sometimes for people, they're like, I can just start talking to a random person in the grocery store and make best friends. That is not me. I am an introvert at heart. I need to recharge at home. I am a homebody. And so I kind of have to challenge myself a little bit more to find different places to meet new people. Also, I have told people I would not have thrived. Thank goodness I met my husband. I would not have thrived in dating app world. And I know they have friend apps, and I think those are great for many people. Not for me. It just would not have worked out. I would have been that very awkward person. No matches for Alex. But some different ways that we can find community, though, outside of those kind of things, are things like volunteering. this is my wheelhouse because I do it so much for the work here at Carroll and connecting our students to volunteer opportunities. The reason I mention it though is because it feels like such a great way to find friendship and community with people with similar values. Because volunteerism is something that's really special to us. A lot of times we choose a location because it's a place that's near and dear and a cause near and dear to our heart. So what better way to find other people who care about the same things as you do? And so a lot of times that's just finding the right fit for you, especially in a new city. A lot of locations will have a list of all nonprofits and what they focus on. And it's okay if you try out one place and that doesn't work out, but you want to go to a different one. A lot of times they'll have larger events that you can join, so it doesn't feel as like I'm entering a space that I've never been to before. A lot of people sign up for those larger like one-off events that are happening. But I know so many agencies are actually so like dying to have individuals come in and commit to a volunteer schedule, whether that be weekly, monthly, whatever it might be. They will like welcome you with open arms. And I found so many times that I've gained friendship and community through that nonprofit because they continue to see my face and they continue to appreciate and just love the work that you're doing with them, and you form that relationship with them. And so that's a beautiful way to find community. And some easy ways, if it's feeling like a little out of your comfort zone to go somewhere by yourself, is maybe bringing a friend or coworker or family. And then if it's also feeling overwhelming to plan a volunteering on your own, I wanted to give a shout out because Alumni Engagement actually had created a service toolkit that's on their website. It's under carrollu.edu/month-of-service, which is from their month of service, which Justin will touch on later on. But they have this toolkit that kind of lines up how you'll find different volunteer places, how to get involved, and some tips and tricks with that too. So I definitely recommend that as well, to kind of check out. But another one that I try and mention to people, and these are not always open to everyone, but I mention it because it at least has been a really great home for me and other individuals I've met, is alumni groups, which are very common for fraternities and sororities, but there are alumni groups for lots of different organizations, or just like young professional groups for many different organizations across the country. An example I give though is that sororities and fraternities have chapters across the country at different institutions, and then as a result have alumni groups that are regional. And so I've had friends that have moved to Boston, for example, and they found their alumni group in that area, and that was really the first place that they were able to meet new people, and they had this shared experience that they could bond over. I will say though, if you're a young professional going to these alumni groups, great networking. They will more than likely ask you if you want to advise. And so if that's an experience you want to advise a chapter in your area because you loved your own personal experience, those are always available. So that's a great way to get involved. And another one I try to plug that kind of overlaps with volunteering, but it's just really great networking. And you meet some amazing women, is open to any woman. Doesn't matter if you're like, affiliated with anything. It's just open to everyone. They have like 295 chapters and it's junior league, and they really focus on personal and professional development. So a lot of times those specific junior leagues, which again are regional or specific to like a metro area or something, will focus on different volunteerism, but they really focus on networking and just building the sense of community within women, again with similar values. I don't know if Lauren and Justin know any other specifically alumni groups outside of obviously our Carroll alumni groups that they think would be helpful to mention, but I find those are already created, and so many of those places welcome and are just wanting more people to join and get involved with them. And so I know personally my experience with alumni group has given me so much more out of my like sorority experience than I would have had otherwise. But Justin, I don't know, do you have any that you've worked with?
Well, we'll definitely talk about the Carroll ones coming up here, but one alumni related thing that a lot of people tend to forget about is your high school. So whether or not you like your high school and your hometown and that experience is up for debate, but you're also an alumni of your high school, and that's a great way to also get involved and stay connected with any of your affiliate groups, whether it be sports or band or academic groups that you were a part of. There are often advisee opportunities for those groups or ways to get involved in that area as well.
Definitely. And I think with high schools too, like if you're big on reunions or just getting back together with that group of people, they are looking for people to come and get involved that way. So thank you, Justin. I feel like that's a perfect example for sure. Outside of alumni group senior league, next one is really sports leagues or group workout. And so this is really great if you're just really into fitness or want to get into fitness. Another thing I'll throw in there is like running groups is a really great way to enjoy something that is good for you and for your soul, and then meeting new people. And so my biggest tip for that is really either finding a local gym. So if you think about YMCAs, or if you have your local city's rec department, many of them will have different sports leagues like slow pitch softball, dodgeball, tennis, pickleball is up and coming, and pickleball is a really fun one. And they're just looking for people to either join teams, or if you're unsure and it seems like, okay, I have to have a team together of 8 people. I don't know 8 people here. Maybe you have one coworker that you want to get to know a little better. And then they can say, okay, I'll invite one person, they invite one person, and you can kind of create this new team to dive into something, and it expands your network even more. Or if it comes to group workout, finding groups that you can consistently work out with, and then expanding that opportunity by saying, hey, I'm going to go get coffee afterwards. Anyone want to come with me? Again, I don't know about you all, but like running groups love to run. I'm not one who can talk during it, so I really would need to lean on maybe getting together afterwards, grabbing brunch, or getting coffee with that. What's really special about a lot of those leagues and running groups is that you can find them naturally on Facebook groups or Instagram even, and following those accounts to figure out when they're happening and what's going on there. But that's a really great way if fitness and those kind of activities are something that you really enjoy. And then another one, which I find is valuable when it comes to virtual opportunities, especially, are book clubs. So you can find a lot of local book clubs, maybe through your own local library. But I've actually had a lot of success with finding them online too, because then they kind of have a different schedule. You can meet virtually. Maybe they don't meet as often, or at least have a set time each time. But those are really great if you're a book lover and enjoy kind of picking out what read. And a lot of times they're again set up for you, or they can be based off of what genre you specifically enjoy reading, and you can meet other people who enjoy those books as well. And the last one we really want to mention, I'm going to turn over to Lauren so she can chat about this as well, or if they have other things that they think are important, we find with finding a community, is just spiritual organizations can be a really great support system for individuals. My big tip, I'm going to turn over to Lauren so she can share her personal experience, is just, this sounds weird, but like shop around. It's okay, and most people don't find their first like spiritual organization they go to be the one, or it's okay to go multiple times, and if it's still not working out, that is fine. So many churches, they just want to make sure you have the full picture of what their community is about, for you to make like an informed decision. But it's not common, like it doesn't mean just because you came to church or organization you have to join it. But I'd love for Lauren to share her story, because I think she had a really great one of how she found community after college through spiritual organization.
Yeah, Alex, that was going to be my big tip too, is shop around. And before I kind of get into my own experience, make a list of what's important to you out of a community, and make sure that's something that you're looking for in the spiritual organization that you're looking at. So after college, during college, I was a part of InterVarsity for the first, I think, like 3 years, 2.5 years. And then I kind of had stepped away from my faith for a while. After college, as we kind of are talking about now, I struggled a lot. It was a kind of a lonely time. Finding community is really hard, and you feel like you lose a lot of the community that you had once you leave college. So I decided it was time to go try to find a community that I can call home again. So I started church shopping. I tried out several different places. And I ended up settling into a church that I had attended a handful of times while I was in Carroll or at Carroll. And the big draw for me to attend this church is because of their emphasis on community itself. I attend Bridge Church in Waukesha, and they have a community focus, not just the Waukesha community, not just like their church community, but also finding small community pockets within the church congregation. So we have things called bridge groups, and there are different kinds of bridge groups, but basically anything can be a bridge group. There are things called interest groups. So if you like something and you think other people might like it too, you can start your own bridge group and people can join in. So I really like sand volleyball. So I started a sand volleyball bridge group. And so I have people that come and we get together over the summer and we just play volleyball together. So by joining this faith community, I was able to build other small communities in my world, if that makes sense. But with that, when in terms of finding your own faith community, your own spiritual organization, shop around, like I said, make a list of what's important to you, what you value, and don't settle for things just because you feel like you should fit in somewhere. I sat in on several different churches, and I got recommendations from people because they thought they knew what I wanted, and that just isn't how it goes, you know? So find something that you are comfortable with. Don't let other people try to tell you what your values are. And keep an open mind though at the same time. It's important to try new things as you leave your college community. You're going to be entering a whole new world, and you're going to be kind of in culture shock a little bit. So just keep an open mind about everything, including the type of churches and different spiritual organizations you enter into. I hope that makes sense. I don't know. I hope I answered all of that. One other community I thought of while you were talking, Alex, was like community theater is a big thing. If you are into the arts, I definitely recommend finding a local theater to get involved in. They're always looking for more people to join into their cast. I know Civic obviously is a huge presence here in Waukesha. And then there's Sunset Playhouse over in Brookfield. So community theater is huge. But yeah, those are my couple.
I think that's perfect, Lauren. And yeah, definitely community theater. And I also think like something I did recently because of the civic engagement work I did here, and I just found passion with it, was like election poll working. And I know we had Noah talk about it a couple times ago with the Supreme Court election and everything, but I actually, it was so fun. I was like, wow, I want to hang out with all you people outside of this too, or like even just knowing, oh, I'm going to see them at the next election period and the next training, of knowing like you have probably so many different interests. And it doesn't mean that all your friends have to have the same exact interest of you. Not just relying on like, oh, I have this group of friends that we've stayed close. That's kind of why we wanted to talk about finding community, but also keeping community, because it's so great to have like this well-rounded sense of like, well, if I really need to fill my bucket with volunteerism, I know I have this community to go to, or my spiritual bucket I need to fill, and I don't have that right now. Like, where can I find that? And you'll see that come and go with life too. And I think a good point, and Lauren said, like, shopping around, or it's okay if you feel like that's not filling the purpose that I need anymore. It's not meaning of life. I know some people first finding churches might lean more towards a smaller church or a larger church, but then they realize later on, like, I need additional services because my family has grown or I've moved to a different city. I really want Bible study. And I think that goes for all of these opportunities, that things will ebb and flow and it'll change in your life too. And we're just hoping that this gives you some different tips and tricks and ways to find community in those different buckets that we all need fulfilled in our lives too. But anything else that you all can think of for maybe different opportunities? Oh, one other one I was thinking of was just like mentorship sometimes, of if it comes, like I was a Girl Scout for so long, and so to find people who might still want to like pour into that area or pour into mentorship with young girls. There's just great ways to kind of reconnect with individuals. My dad, actually, something so funny, he had this greatest group of friends that he met through beer club. And so if you're like a beer fanado or wine, they did not know each other either. I don't know. I have no idea actually how this man got connected with this group of people. But that was something he really enjoyed. And I think he actually found it from like one of our local breweries, and he has kept in contact with all of them. They get to make wine together, which is kind of a cool thing, but there is literally something out there for everyone. It just might take a little bit of extra work for us to find it.
Yeah, and just mentioning the beer club, I just thought about, Wisconsin culture specifically, and not always good to promote drinking, but there are a lot of different bar leagues out there. There's bar volleyball leagues, there's bar bowling leagues, there's darts, there's bars that have poker tournaments. So there's a lot of really good ways to find community in local business too.
Yeah. Awesome. Yes. I love this.
I forgot to mention a couple of things about the spiritual organizations, and I'm so sorry. I feel a little frazzled. So one thing too, so once you're within the spiritual community that you want to be a part of, if you feel the need to dig deeper, I guess, or get more involved, there is usually something for everybody. Like your talents and the things you're good at could be put to work in any capacity within a faith community. So if you're good with kids, find out how you can get involved with helping out with the daycare. If you're great, if you sing, if you play an instrument, find out how you can get on the worship team. If you just have a great smile, see if you can be a door opener and say hi in the morning. So try, if you're feeling the need for more community, there are almost always ways to get that by just volunteering within your faith community, and they're always looking for more volunteers.
I would definitely. And things just don't run without our help and without our volunteers too. And so that experience, you make that experience for other people, especially if you found it yourself, and then you can do the same for others. But awesome. Well, those are some ways that we are hoping to kind of review, like finding what are ways you can find community, especially when you're leaving Carroll, moving somewhere new, moving back home. But another big thing we wanted to really focus on was staying connected. Like, just like I had my nervousness of like, what if I don't talk to these people anymore, which did not happen, or how do I stay connected with them? And it can be really difficult. And like I mentioned before, social media is like great and also not great at the same time when it comes to staying connected. I have some tips, which I think are things that you can start implementing now, or just start working on over the summer, especially when the weather is so beautiful and we all want to get outside and be doing stuff. But the big one that sounds so cheesy, and I am a proponent of it though, is using your calendars. You have this nice new work calendar that you want to use. I think most of your employers would not be mad if you have something on the Saturday that says getting coffee with Kay. That's one of my best friends. And so I know I use it. Yes, Justin, because I have to just schedule it out. we just all have so much going on in our lives. We have our other communities that we've become a part of, or work shifts, like maybe my friend's on a third shift, I'm on a first shift. It's just hard. And so no shame in the calendar game. I will schedule things out like a month in advance, put it on me and my friend's calendar, and then it's a good reminder, and we don't have that excuse of like, oh crap, I totally forgot we agreed upon this, and like we don't want to cancel, but just something came up. And so I use my calendar so much, and I just go for it. I'm like, hey, let's schedule this out. And with that, if you find a time that works, or like every third Saturday of the month is perfect for me and Lauren to get together, reschedule it. Same place, same time. And the beauty of that same place, same time is that sometimes you find your go-to place, and it becomes like this almost additional sense of home with someone that you obviously have a really special relationship with from college. And so maybe that's a coffee shop, a restaurant, a library, a farmer's market. And it just becomes really fun, and you have like your go-to specials that you get with them, and memories that you can share at that specific location. So that's a really good tip of finding a place that you feel like your friendship can be supported. And if it starts out with just you and one other person, that's awesome. You can keep growing it by inviting other people to join, or if you just want to meet new people, have your friend bring someone that they met from their own community, and you bring someone too, and it kind of just can expand from there. Another thing that I know can be really difficult as we move to different locations. So like I stayed in Waukesha, but a lot of my friends either went to downtown Milwaukee or Chicago. And just the space can be really tricky to navigate, especially if your schedules are just really busy, because we're adding in travel time. And again, we used to be roommates, and now we live 2 hours away from each other, and that's just hard. And so I actually put together a couple of halfway points I came up with, but meeting up halfway somewhere, for example, if it's like your friends in Chicago. So I had this with my best friend in Chicago, and I was in Milwaukee, Waukesha. And so could we meet up in like Lake Geneva or Gurnee, and find a really cool place or really fun activity for us to do. It just saves, like, gas is expensive nowadays. It saves you on gas, and it doesn't feel like one person's putting in more to then meet up together too, because I know that can be difficult as well. But yeah, Chicago to Milwaukee, Lake Geneva and Gurnee are really great. Green Bay to Madison might be somewhere like Fond du Lac. Indianapolis to Columbus, Ohio. If we have any alum going to Columbus, Ohio, I found is Richmond, Indiana. I don't know too much about Richmond, Indiana, but I have to assume there are things that are happening there, and that would be a good place to meet up. But just make it a day trip, make it something fun, or make it an overnight trip. Maybe that'll be fun. Too, just to go to a new city and adventure together. Those are all great ways to stay connected. But really, the best thing that I think came from COVID was the ability to then do more virtual hangouts. And that to be really like a normalized part of our community staying connected is doing it virtually. And so the picture I have on the screen is actually the alumni group I'm part of that is like a big part of my community after college. None of these women, except for one, I overlapped with at college. I didn't go to school with any of them. Or we went to different schools. So like one of them actually went to school in Hawaii and now lived in Wisconsin, and now we still stay connected even though she's in Florida now. But it's a cool group, and this was actually taken 2 weeks into COVID when everything shut down, and we said, let's get together. We're gonna have a night just to hang out, talk and catch up and talk about the craziness that's happening around us. But that's a great way to stay connected. In some ways that I've seen a lot of success now that COVID's not as big, and so you have the option of meeting in person, but this is still really great to connect, is maybe doing like a virtual happy hour, a game night, which is something different but really exciting. If you're a big like Bachelor, Love is Blind, maybe watching a show together and reacting, because we all want someone to be able to debrief our feelings in that moment. And then there's a new movie release even, but something I wanted to mention about games though, there's so many different apps out there that allows you to play games at the same time. And I actually learned from my coworker, Chris, how to play Among Us recently. And I have to put this out there if anyone hasn't played, but I feel like I'm probably the oddball out that just haven't played it ever. That is a very fun game. And I would have so much fun playing like virtually with other people doing that. But things like code names and Kahoots, those are just all like easy things you can do. And again, I think I'm dating myself because I'm that millennial on TikTok, but I thought this really fun idea that other people were doing was that they came up with like make a presentation on anything. If you had to present on anything, pick it and we will listen to it. And I thought that was kind of a unique idea for friends who maybe haven't talked in a while or want to stay connected and connect like weekly, but maybe don't have a lot of new things to talk through in our lives. Like things aren't changing as much, but we want to get together just like old times. Like we sat in our rooms and did nothing or played a game or something. Those are just great ways to like continue connecting, even though maybe our lives are kind of like status quo, which is totally fine sometimes. But those are all just like great ways to stay connected. And I don't know if Lauren or Justin even have any ways that they found that they stay connected, and they can share it too.
Yeah, I have to shamelessly agree with the calendar use. If recent graduates are on this call or tuning in, or young alumni, you might not realize it, but at some point life gets very, very, very busy. I don't even have kids, and my life is insane. So a lot of our friends feel the same way. Some have kids, some have dogs, some have other obligations. And it's so easy to say, oh, we haven't seen each other. Let's get together soon. Okay, yeah. But then, sometimes it just doesn't happen. So there's specifically one couple that my wife and I put literally every single month, we have a date night scheduled for the next year so that we don't forget about it and are obligated a little, or, it's a little more set in stone. And that has been great. We always are able to catch up with them then. And we're trying to do that with more friends as well. So I second Alex's point there. And then the other thing that I was going to throw in around the game topic is there's a fun one called Hot Seat. And it's just a great way to kind of have conversation starters and get to know people on a deeper level. So if you are, stuck in a rut with a friendship, but you want to stay connected, look into those games, look into those conversation starters. It's kind of a fun way to learn more about people that you might not naturally think about.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback on the calendar thing. Yeah, like Justin said, at some point your life gets crazy, hectic, and busy, and also at some point your short-term memory just like leaves your being, and you just forget everything ever. So, start using that early and often, because you don't want to be the friend that just says, oh, I forgot, I'm sorry, I forgot. You don't want to be that friend, trust me. So there's that. I love a good group chat. I have a couple like pretty big group chats with all of my friends in it, and we just talk all the time. That's a great way to stay connected. Start a band with your best friends. I recommend that. I'm doing that. I did that. It's both a blessing and a curse to be that close with people, but it's good. The presentation thing, Alex, that's so fun. And I heard another version kind of that is you play like PowerPoint karaoke, it's called, and you like present somebody else's PowerPoint. And so you can get like I think the example I saw was like, it's a PowerPoint on like molecular biology, and you're not even like a scientist, and you have to somehow present this person's PowerPoint and like make up stuff about it. Basically, it's just stupid and it's fun. So anyway, that's just another idea, something fun you can do virtually. Yeah.
That's awesome. I haven't heard of that, like where you kind of just switch, and I could see that being like hysterical, or just like, here's a random PowerPoint I made, and I want to see how you talk through any of this information. Oh, yeah. That's awesome. But as you can see, like there's so many ways to just keep connected with your community. And again, I like what Lauren said. She's like, don't be that friend that always ends up being like, oh my gosh, I forgot. Something that I try and remind myself is like, trying to, it's a two-way street. We got to put the effort in to stay connected as well. And that goes with you and your other friends too. And it's really just coming down to say yes. I had mentioned earlier, I'm like the biggest homebody, and sometimes I'm just so comfy in my PJs at home and all this stuff, but just saying yes and experiencing, like if a friend last minute says like, hey, I actually like this got canceled or something, like you want to get together and do this, say yes, because so much in college, our day-to-day was just saying yes to experiences. We didn't know what was happening the next day, but we just figure it out, or we'd be like, oh, that's cool, I'm gonna go to it. And sometimes we need that back in our lives too, to say yes and be a little bit more spontaneous, or put ourselves out there in a way that maybe we're not used to as much post-graduation. But that's really just the biggest thing, is to not let Facebook and Snapchat and Instagram be the way that we're staying in touch with other people. Say yes to opportunities, schedule them out if you have to. Find new places that you can get involved with based off of like what you are really interested in. And don't let years go by and then you realize, oh my gosh, the last time I'm going to a wedding, the last time I talked to them was when I graduated. I don't know about Lauren and Justin, that like I had that moment at one point. It was like a year and a half after graduation. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so lucky that you're like inviting me to this wedding, because we haven't stayed connected, but we had such an amazing friendship. And so sometimes that's although hard to feel that way, make that wedding the starting point. Reconnect with them, see how they're doing, reconnect with the other friends that are probably at the same wedding too. And it's okay if it does happen. But please know that regardless, like you have friends who you can, like, these are connections that we made that are so deep and unique at Carroll, and just beautiful, that if you reach out to them, even if it's been a while, and put yourself out there, more than like 100% they're going to respond and be like, oh my gosh, I say this, I was just thinking about you and I meant to reach out to you. So just know that is totally normal, but also like put yourself out there and make a connection, because again, these are lifelong relationships that we've created with people. We just got to put some extra time and effort and care into keeping those going as well. But I want to let Justin talk about some really great opportunities for alumni engagement and what they have going on, because my big thing is that it's really hard to put this effort into like plan this big stuff. People will do it for you. Justin's getting paid to do this and he does a wonderful job. So let him do that for you.
Wow, thank you. I'll take the credit. No, we have a great team in the alumni engagement office here at Carroll, and there are 5 of us in alumni engagement that, as Alex said, plan things for you. And not only is it a great way to stay connected with Carroll as a university and staying informed about what's going on around campus, but it's a great way to stay connected with your Carroll friends as well. We do so many events throughout the year, and it's a wide range of social gatherings, networking opportunities, award ceremonies, book clubs, volunteer opportunities, you name it. We're offering that for our alumni base and friends as well. So thank you for putting that link in here, Alex, to the alumni events page. That is updated very frequently, and we have a whole wide range of options. Some of our biggest initiatives throughout the year are homecoming. So each year we have homecoming and reunion weekend, where we invite alumni to come back to campus and gather together around the same homecoming weekend for students, so they get to see that student life and that student perspective as well. Around that homecoming and reunion weekend, we also do reunion committees, which I'll talk about on the next slide, so keep that in mind. We also have 2 month-long service events. So in April, it's Pioneers Feed America, and we partner with Feeding America to help with food insecurity, whether it be donating food to your local food bank, whether it's Waukesha or a different city or a different state, or coming with us in our office to serve at something like the Waukesha Food Pantry. And then we also have a service project, month-long project in November, where we we help alumni get involved in their communities, whether it's raking leaves for your neighbor or going and volunteering at your church. So that month is a little bit more broad and just encourages you to get out there in your community, wherever it may be. And we total those up both in April and in November, and we report back to our alumni and to campus to talk about how much of an impact we made. So you might not feel like you're doing a whole lot individually. Maybe you're just volunteering for an hour or two, which is amazing, but it might not feel like a lot. But when we come together and report back that, we've raised, $100,000 and 400,000 meals in 40 states, it's really cool to see alumni come together and make a difference. Of course, networking events and ways to connect with alumni, whether it be online on LinkedIn or at events, is a great way to meet new people, make new friends, maybe even make some career moves. You might meet some people that can help you in the next step in your career journey. We have a monthly book club that happens the last Wednesday of every month, just a social opportunity to get together and talk about the book of the month. And then we do various state gatherings as well. So we have alumni across the United States, and we go to different states every year to connect with alumni, tell them about campus updates. If you're in one of those states, it's a great way to meet people with common interests. And we always go to Florida and Arizona every year, just due to some larger alumni populations in those states. But we have also traveled to, and will continue to rotate to California, Indiana, Washington, D.C., Denver, Colorado, a whole bunch of different places. So it's a great way, again, to just kind of keep that Carroll connection going. And if those events aren't enough and you're like, okay, yep, I want to do all those things, but I want to get even more involved, you can go a step further and get involved in some other initiatives that are a little bit more of your time, but give you a little bit deeper of a connection. So we have an alumni council, and that's made up of 25 alumni. And they have subcommittees that help us with different initiatives. And it's really just another way that we can stay connected with the alumni body in the alumni office and bounce ideas off of this group to make sure that our initiatives are what our alumni want to see. So we recruit new members every year for that alumni council, and there are 5 different subcommittees that you can get involved on. So if you want to hear more about that, you can always reach out to me and I can go a deeper dive on that. Those reunion committees I mentioned earlier, here you'll see 2 pictures on the right here of that is our current 10th reunion committee, and then last year's 1972, that's the 50th reunion group. And those committees come together to help us rally their classmates to come back to campus for homecoming and reunion weekend. So we do different gatherings for those groups where they can just come back to campus and reminisce together. Specifically for the older groups, there used to be a Carroll yearbook called the Henekaga. So we put those out with old memorabilia, and it's just a great way to kind of relive your glory days of being back on campus. And we do this for every 5 years, every milestone group. So every year. This year we're in, oh my gosh, the 7s and the 3s because it's 2023. So we go back every 5 years. So 5th, 10th, 15th, 20th, all the way to 50th reunion. And we get those groups together to come back to campus. For some of those service projects I talked about, we have event or project champions, and those folks help take the lead in promotion for those different service projects. So the Pioneers Feed America, as I mentioned, is across the whole U.S. So we have champions in 40 states this year that are really just helping promote that in their area, connecting with alumni in that state to encourage them to participate. So that's always an option. Carroll University has academic advisory boards. One of them that comes to mind is the graphic design group with Dan Becker. He has a advisory board where alumni connect with him to make sure that some of the course material is still relevant to the field, and they can provide insight on course materials and come to classes to speak in classes and things like that. And then last but not least, we have our Old Main Society, which is a giving society. So for alumni that donate $1,000 or more per year, or if you're a young alumni, $500 or more per year, that is an exclusive group where we have special events and other exclusive opportunities for these folks to get connected. And that's John Harris at the top there. He is an alumni council member and part of our Old Main Society. So that's a photo at an exclusive dinner. And it's just great to see all these different forms of alumni engagement and these people getting together to whether it's, make a difference for Carroll or stay connected with each other. There's really a lot of different opportunities that our office offers, and we hope that you engage with them as one way to build your community after college. That was that.
Do you feel that way, Justin?
Wait, what was it?
He sounds like the happiest person.
Oh,
I
yeah.
not smile looking at him.
Yeah, and he's so cool. And that's one of the best parts about alumni engagement is if you come to, different events or different opportunities, you get to meet alumni from, the 70s, the 80s, and you get to hear their stories and, what brought them to Carroll and what they did. And John is a great example. He's so involved and just such a down-to-earth and nice guy. So it's a great way to meet people that you wouldn't necessarily normally meet. So I encourage you all to get involved with our office.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Justin. And something actually I was just thinking of too, in giving a shout to Lauren, there are so many events that Carroll hosts, especially for community, to join in, local community or those kind of things that I think they even would love for alum to be a part of. So one of the examples is TEDx we hosted for the first time this past year, and one of our alums was one of the main speakers. Actually, it might have been a couple alum, but I know at least for sure one of them was. And so if you have an expertise on something, we want to share that with our current community as well. Or Lauren works on Celebrate Carroll, to have alum feel welcome, come back and see all the cool things our students are doing right now. It lets you kind of relive your days there at Carroll, or if you were someone that really enjoyed those types of programs, being able to experience it as alumni is a great experience too.
I think we did have alum come walk through. I know Dolores had reached out to Max about the schedule for an alum that wanted to come back for Celebrate Carroll. So I know that does happen. I'm just not sure how much it's I don't know how welcome they feel, but they should, because they're more than welcome to come back. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we would ever turn away alum from any of our events. We love when they come and hang out and just want to connect with our students too. So, and our students love it as well.
Yeah.
So a lot of cool opportunities with that too. The last slide here as we wrap things up, but thank you so much for those who are watching and able to join and stuff. Was more of just, we kind of mentioned this throughout, which is what was really beautiful when we plugged in, but thinking of what has worked for you to stay connected or find new connections in the past or so far, and sharing that with other friends too, or sharing your experience and your story so other people can see that as well. So many of us are making great connections in a new community or staying connected, and other people are how do you do this? How did you find that? So feel free to share that out, or if Justin and Lauren even have examples they want to share, but share it out to your friends, share it out to share it on social media to kind of inspire other people to do the same too.
Yeah, one thing that I would just like to quickly add here that kind of goes in alignment with this question that we kind of covered a little bit, but I think is just another way to find community, is a lot of employers have an employee engagement committee of some sort, whether it's run by the HR department or volunteer, your colleagues volunteer to be a part of a committee like that. But that's a really good way to, get to know your coworkers better. I know our HR department here at Carroll does a great job of hosting different events and social opportunities for us to get to know each other. My previous employer was very bad at it. And I was like, hey, I would love to get to know my colleagues more. Can I start a, employee engagement committee? And my HR department was like, yeah, sure, go for it. And they gave me a budget and we got together for We did like a walking challenge in the spring, and we did like a happy hour. So if you're at your employer and you're feeling like, you know, you'd like to get to know people more and there's not an opportunity like that, step out of your comfort zone and talk to your HR department and start something fun like that, because you'd be surprised. I'm sure a lot of people would probably like to join you in something like that to get connected.
Yeah, absolutely. This is kind of a joke, but almost not really. Um, find some find your partner at Carroll University. It helps when your spouse is an alum and then you are forced to stay connected with more people from Carroll. But kind of a joke. But in all honesty, that has helped a lot. Mark and I have and had a lot of the same friends through college, and the fact that now we are married, it if they don't like me anymore, they probably still like Mark, so they're forced to hang out with me and vice versa. But besides that, just be open. Don't be afraid of like sharing a bit of yourself. People appreciate vulnerability and honesty. So when you are your truest self in front of people, that allows for easier connections to happen. So just keep that in mind when you're talking to new people, when you're putting yourself out there, just be genuine.
Definitely. Oh, that's so funny, Lauren. I'm pretty sure all three of us had met our person at Carroll.
Yeah.
And I agree. It's a good way to stay connected with like people maybe that I wouldn't have stayed connected with as much, or just that like we have this friendship, and so now they have two people that they can either reach out. It cracks me up so many times how many times they're like, I just know Cody doesn't respond as much because like teaching just is hard, and then they just talk to me and then schedule it through me to get together. But yeah, so much great advice and so many good ways to keep finding those connections and stay connected with people. But if you ever feel really stuck, I think the first step is reach out to us, reach out to Carroll University. We'll get you reconnected with tons of different opportunities that are local, away, or even virtual. But we're so excited we could talk with you all tonight, and I'm hoping those who maybe are watching this later on too can benefit from it as well. I think we have one more slide, but I just appreciate everyone interacting, and I hope this gave you a little bit of a push and new ideas to find ways to create community and find community after college.